children of the night. What music they make. They're all gonna laugh at you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's that?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you for
Welcome back to Final Guys, y'all. How's everybody doing tonight, fellas?
We
doing
down
all
south.
right.
Yeah.
You got a purty mouth, Jack.
We anything to report?
Announcements? Yeah.
You want to tell people what the movie is tonight?
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a second. I'm just
okay.
chit-chat. Don't tell me
changing
how
it
to
up.
drive.
He doesn't want to be
By the
predictable.
way, I want to tell people that our show has something very much in common with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We do not have a starting quarterback yet. So
I thought they
Just
got
wanted to
Aaron
throw that out.
Rodgers.
did they get him? Yeah, no. Yeah,
It'll happen.
He's in his dark room on ayahuasca trying to decide what he's going to do.
They're trying to pick out which flag he's going to run out on opening day.
What a fool.
So, Chad, what you got?
Yeah. All right. Listen, I just found out today via an email that I'm 99% sure that I've already shown this before, but I showed it. When,
Jesus Christ.
I write words.
Yep.
You got a pretty mouth, boy.
When this was available, it was up on Cemetery Dance's website for like a day or whatever, and then they sold out. But I can't remember how many this is limited to, 100, I think. And I guess there's a couple more left. It's a line. I think it's called the Diamond Line. Richard Chismar has one, myself, Todd Kiesling, and there's a few of each. So if you think you'd like some coming of age cosmic body horror about a boy who touches a meteor in a cornfield and instantly regrets it while his friends try to help him from melding together, then you might dig this. And if you absolutely have to have it in a $75 limited signed hardcover edition, then you can go to thunderstormbooks.com. Otherwise, pay $15 or $14 for the paperback or $3 for the Kindle, or read it for free if you got it, the Kindle Unlimited.
Somebody out there, get the $75 one. Show up here, and we will acknowledge you somehow.
By the way, at least you had more details on this book than the last book of yours you tried to
I know.
promote.
I thought of Jason when I because
That's where I thought this was heading again when you were like fumbling at the beginning. I was like, Jesus, Chad.
I got a book. It's out.
But I like the book. I hope you do too if you read it. Yeah.
You're a
Let
great
me know.
salesman, though. I got the $75 book, but really, you should just get it for
You should
free.
just read it for free.
somewhere.
Well, I mean, I know it'll sell, so I whatever. I already got paid for that. Actually, I get paid more if you went and got the cheaper version, because if Cemetery Dance decides they want to actually pay me money for my book, then I'll see some. I've said too much. I can't get.
It's a
started on
miracle
that.
the book even
no.
made
Cemetery
it out.
Dance.
I've said
Yeah.
too much.
You just lit a fire and you're like, oops.
People know. People know.
All right. Well, tonight's main feature is Death of a Unicorn, a new A24 horror comedy with Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, and a colorful cast of A-listers that we will get to in a little while. We kind of gone through the things. I think all that's left is the drinking words.
Yeah, so here we go. I'll read them because, I'm not drinking right now. I'm high on life.
I got
And
a
I'm high
Coke
on being a
Zero,
unicorn.
baby.
Oh, whew. Calm down. Remember when we were young and
I
alcoholics?
know.
All right. Tonight's words are, Jack, when you say A24 fools or Ortega, somebody must have been watching your Twitter.
Yeah.
You all got to take a drink. My words tonight are magical, baby, and horn. It could also be horny. It's all good.
Baby.
Jason's are adult unicorn and effects. Mr. Book Promo is crowbar, kills, and Tubi. And bonus words, if any of us says Jenny, Leone, or Rudd. take a drink. At least he gave us like the actors' names because we never know.
Jenny or Jenna?
I love you, Jenny. It says Jenny. So maybe we have a nickname for her.
He's very chummy with her. All right, there's some bombshells in the news, so let's get to the news, baby.
Oh boy.
It's the news. Yay.
I almost called Tim Meyer to be guest tonight. I just got this off of Ain't It Cool News like an hour ago and lost my friggin' mind.
That website's still around? Really?
They broke this story.
Does this still look like shit, the website?
Yes.
Oh, no kidding.
Made by GeoCities.
Enough. I have to get to this. I have to. Everybody's sitting?
Yes.
Blumhouse, our favorite studio, has acquired the rights to The Shining.
Oh my god!
And Bryce McGuire, who wrote and directed Night Swim, is going to work on a remake and a prequel.
This is the shittiest April Fool's joke of all time.
No, thank you.
Oh, come on.
Dude, thank you.
I thought Jason's head was going to explode if that was for real.
Well, as soon as he said Night Swim, I was like, nah, never mind. This is bullshit.
Wow.
Blumhouse and Shining. Oh, ugh. Nightmares.
I actually Googled Night Swim to find out the name of the director.
Good one, Jack.
My lord.
In the real news, the news sponsored by the new Chad Luxey Black Diamond version of Bruises on a Meteor Touching Itself in a Cornfield.
He got Jordy Verrill.
Oh, wow. That's a cut there.
The only Jordy I know is LaForge.
Creepshow.
Creepshow.
Stephen King and Creepshow.
Yeah, I only saw that movie like once or twice.
Really? That's a great movie.
Oh, excellent.
Wow.
That's
That's surprising.
another
I
April
hate
Fool's joke?
Creepshow hats, especially.
They're so creepy.
Anywho, the new Hell House movie is hitting Shudder on October 25th, or October of this year, not 25th. I don't know exactly what date, but it is possibly the final chapter, although there's supposed to be like a Hell House universe coming, possibly, because this guy wants to keep making more. But they confirmed that this version is not going to be found footage. So
That's the whole thing. Final
Yeah.
Footage.
Well, maybe they'll put some money into this one.
I actually am glad because I didn't really like the last one. So if they're going to change it up, go for it.
Are they going to call it Night of the Living Carmichael Manor on Elm Street Revenge story?
Hell House LLC Lineage.
What number is this? 4?
That's a good question.
I think it's
Something like that.
5.
Bye.
I think it's 5.
Jeez. I dropped out at 2.
First one's great.
We did the fourth
Yeah.
one as a main feature. You weren't here for that?
Hell House, Abaddon Hotel, Lake of Fire, and Origins,
Lake of
and
Fire is
Carmichael
hilarious.
Manor.
I think I faked appendicitis. I wasn't on that episode.
Oh, man. It's interesting to do it that late in the series to switch format. That'll be interesting. Isn't it
I
just
guess
one guy who does these?
I don't know. That would
Like,
be
I think it's one guy who writes and
Stephen
directs,
Cognetti.
produces. So it's pretty cool of him that he managed to make a whole series by himself. That's impressive.
And there are people out there who rave about this thing. And all these little TikTok horror people are always like, the found footage movie you need to see is Hell House. Like, oh really? What a hidden gem you've told me about.
I like how the horror YouTubers, like those horror TikTokers, those little bastards.
When we get to what we watched, the wrath of the horror TikToker is going to come out swinging, baby.
I always prefer the houses October built to Hell House LLC. But that's
I haven't
my
seen
preference.
those. I have not seen those.
I think
First
that's
one's
one
excellent.
of those.
The first
Second
Hell
one
House
was better.
LLC is really good.
Yeah.
It is. I'm not saying it's bad, but I just think of those two as like kind of similar movies, and I liked houses more than house.
Maybe the swim house director or whatever the hell it's called.
Night Swim.
Night Swim can do The Shining as a found footage movie. That remake.
Ooh,
You like
limited
how I threw
series.
prequel in there for you, Jason?
I think my brain had already switched off at that point.
In other news, the Resident Evil is going to have a sort of a rebirth coming up, and they have offered the lead role to Mikey Madison, who was the girl that won Best Actress for Honora, who was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was the girl that got shot with the flamethrower, and she's in the Scream movie. So Resident Evil roping in an Academy Award winning actress, most likely.
That makes no sense.
Did they make that much money? I mean, is there really a following for that franchise?
Dude, they made like 6 of those movies in that series.
Yeah. I just
It made a shitload of money. And they're
Maybe-
awful movies.
Maybe
Yeah,
this one can make sense.
That's a studio with a recognizable IP going, what are we doing with this thing?
Didn't they relaunch it like 2 years ago? There was a different movie that didn't have any of the cast. It was called like Raccoon City or something.
Oh, yes. I
Yeah.
didn't see it, though.
So they're rebooting it twice within 5 years. It's almost like a movie I'm going to talk about during the curation section.
Isn't she like 5'2"?
She is tiny.
She's so
What's her-
small.
She hosted Saturday Night Live last week. Mikey Madison.
Okay. Never heard of the name. What's the movie she was in?
Honora.
Don't know that. And she was in SNL. Don't watch that. So I have no idea who this
She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the latest Scream movie.
Haven't seen the latest Scream movie. Did watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Don't remember.
Well, she's one of the Manson girls in that, so that could be
One of the many.
the Manson girls in that movie. Like basically,
the one that
are
shows
all-
her feet.
No,
that was
that's the girl from The Substance.
Yeah.
yeah. That's because Sydney Sweeney was in there. Andy McDowell's daughter. Like that movie was chock full of up and coming stars.
Yep. And we didn't know who they were.
And I'm gonna just close out the news because there was a lot of just like who cares kind of things out there. But I
Like
noticed
Resident
this.
Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mikey Madison, though. If you watch Honora, you're like, oh, okay, I'll watch Resident Evil.
I put it on my list, so I'm gonna
Is that
check
that
it
movie
out.
that's basically porn? She's like.
Why
super
are you
naked all
saying
the
that
time?
like it's something you wouldn't watch?
Yeah.
No, that would actually make me want to watch it. But
She's like a stripper that marries some
Yeah.
okay,
Russian
I think I
scumbag or
did see a
something.
trailer for that.
She's in good shape. I'll say that for sure. Can you believe Shudder is celebrating its 10th anniversary?
Wow.
Really?
How's it possible?
So if you go and look up Shudder, they're doing a bunch of stuff. I think right now they're kicking into the halfway to Halloween stuff. There's going to be, I think, movie theaters showing some Shudder stuff, like Shudder originals and things like that. But if you check in with Shudder, I'm not going to go through everything they're doing. But I just thought about it. We've been doing this for something like 7-8 years now, right?
8 years in May.
So Shudder was just a little baby when we started this.
I remember when I
Wow.
got it, the app didn't work at all.
Yeah.
It was absolute shit. Couldn't find anything. It crashed constantly.
You know,
I got-
jacking the price.
Are they?
Yeah, as of I think they sent the email today or yesterday from $6.99 to $8.99.
Hmm,
Oh, I didn't see that.
whatever. That's fine. Just keep Joe Bob.
Yeah, when I first got it, I got it through Amazon. So I would just like pull it up and see thumbnails. And then Jason, you kept talking about watching things and stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I had to quit through Amazon and
Yep.
go back and subscribe so I could get the
I
actual
remember
interface.
that. Yeah.
It was a real shit show back in the day.
Yeah.
Hey,
And now
speaking
when
of
the-
Shudder, this Friday's the first Friday of the month, so Joe Bob is doing his slasher special.
Mm.
So get ready.
Mm.
Nice.
Sweet.
So happy anniversary to Shudder. And that is all the news. It's fit to print. Let's get to what we watched.
have such sights to show you.
Okay. Who wants to go first? I'm not going to pick somebody. Somebody volunteer.
I'll go.
Oh, we all
All right,
said
we'll all
one
go.
out there.
Go Hunter, and then we'll go around.
Go around. All right. I watched a movie that it's kind of horror. It's horror adjacent, but it's got some stars in it. So it's called The Hole. By the way, if you look up The Hole, you're going to come across a whole bunch of holes. So it's from 2001, starring Keira Knightley and Thora Birch.
Wow.
And one of the guys in it wasn't one of the detectives in Dexter. So this is about a bunch of rich kids in this posh private school in England, and Thora Birch is kind of like this kind of emo girl. Keira Knightley naturally is like the gorgeous popular girl, and Thora Birch has a crush on a boy who I get the feeling he's kind of a celebrity, or his parents are celebrities. They kind of mention stuff like that. And there's going to be like this overnight thing with the school. And what they do is devise with their friend, who's like kind of like the wheeler dealer. He sets them up where they can he mixes up the computer stuff. So it looks like they're going away with the school. They're actually going to live for a couple of days inside a bomb shelter in the woods. What can go wrong? So they go down, there's 4 of them, 2 guys, 2 girls. Naturally, they're partying, having a good time, looking to get laid. And their friend, who was supposed to come get them, doesn't. And they end up being in there for 18 days. And things happen in there. It's actually, this is one of my wife's favorite movies. And I bought it for her, and we've just been forgetting to watch it for a while. So I said, let me turn this in. This is really pretty good because it starts out one way, and then the story starts to change, and you don't know what's the truth and what's a lie. And man, if you want to party in the bomb shelter, this will dissuade you. Although I did once have a good time with a girl in a bomb shelter, but that was just for like an hour, and then we were out. We didn't spend the night in the bomb shelter. I will tell you this, for you Keira Knightley fans, there is a scene where the two guys start groping her and trying to have a threesome. And then she extracts herself from it, and then she flashes them her boobs. Remember this when you see this, before you pull your pants down. She was 15 years old when they filmed this. So feel incredible shame if you feel like Campesing.
Is it actually her, or is it a body double?
Oh, it's her.
You watch this movie, and suddenly I'm the villain in this story.
Has to be about a body double. They
It's her
stopped doing
face.
that in 70s.
Yeah, dude. It's
With Brooke
her
Shields.
face. So it's a shot from the boob to her face, and you see her just lift it up real quick, pull it down.
Well, in the name of accuracy, I'm going to have to watch it to see if I think it's a body.
I mean,
double.
you can check it out. But this movie is actually, I saw it, my God, maybe 2002, and watched it again. I'm like, you know what? This movie is actually pretty good. It's kind of a little bit horror, a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of suspense. If you're squeamish about maggots, it's going to make you barf. So it's actually worth a watch. I don't know where you can find it. I had to buy the damn thing. So I don't know if it's streaming anywhere.
Surprised I haven't heard of this, or at least doesn't ring a bell.
It's one of those, talk about an under the radar movie. You mentioned this, and people pull up, oh yeah, I saw the Hole. I'm like, the 1996 Hole or the 2010 Hole. There's a million holes.
There's Holes that has what's his name?
There's Holes. Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that's a great kids movie. Yeah.
Cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
In a hole. Cinderella story.
But yeah, if you can find The Hole from 2001, just look up Keira Knightley, Thora Birch. You'll get the right one. It's actually a pretty good watch.
All right. My turn?
Thank you. Yes, please.
All right. I watched a new movie called Die Alone with Carrie Ann Moss, Douglas Smith, and Frank Grillo.
Grillo.
Oh my God, that guy.
Janine Pipe loves Frank Grillo.
He's pretty great, especially in Werewolves. So Grillo is on the cover, but he's only in the movie for like 5 minutes. But this is a zombie film where the main character, Douglas Smith, who looked familiar to me, I think he's in the Percy Jackson movies. I'm not sure. But he wakes up in a wrecked car and his girlfriend or wife, I don't remember, who was with him is missing. And he has to go look for her during the zombie apocalypse. He runs into a super badass woman named Carrie-Anne Moss, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, who takes him back to her farm where she's set up solar panels and has food and goes hunting, and it's pretty safe. And she tries to take care of him and help him find his lost wife. And because it's a zombie movie, there are zombies that show up that are bad. There are people that show up that are a problem. I picked this because of the cast. It had a pretty good rating. It was like 5.7 on IMDb. I actually really liked this movie. I thought the story is good. It's got a great cast. It looks really good. And it's got an interesting twist on the zombie genre. So this is a good film. This would be a solid backup if we need a main feature some week.
Wow.
It's much
It's a
better than I
2025 movie?
It says 2024 on IMDb. I don't know what day it came out. So it's recent, but I don't know if it was 2025 or not.
Close
Sounds like
enough.
Frank Grillo learned about housing, building a shelter against werewolves from Carrie-Anne Moss in this movie.
Possibly.
Mhm.
But whereas that story got worse as the movie went, this got better as the movie went. I was very surprised by this. This is a solid movie that I've never heard of before. So definitely check out Die Alone. It was like $2 on Amazon or something like that. I know.
Where are the $2 rentals? I'm so sad.
Bring back Redbox.
Chad Loxletsky.
Okay, so Shudder's been treating me pretty good lately. So I went back there and I watched a werewolf movie that didn't suck, that I'd never heard of before. I think it didn't suck because it's not American made. It's a French film called Wolfkin. Sorry, not Wolfen.
No, that's not a French movie.
A long time ago, yeah. Wolfkin, about a single mother who takes note of her young son's progressively aggressive behavior toward kids at school by biting them. To get to the bottom of this, she heads back to where the boy's dad's family lives to see if she can get some help and or answers to what's going on. The kid's dad doesn't seem to be around at the moment, but his parents are welcoming and understanding, and they know exactly what's going on with this kid. So they help make things better by getting the kid on a regimen of special meat pies, hunting lessons, and strapping him into the most uncomfortable back brace you've ever seen. It's a slow burn, well shot, well acted. Some of the effects aren't that impressive. The werewolf stuff, mainly, which always leaves me scratching my head when it comes to werewolf movies and how we still can't hold anything up next to Rick Baker's American Werewolf in London.
Nope.
With the exception of like Hemlock Grove. That is a great transformation. But 4 decades later, what was the problem? You guys got to see, I think, the full extent of, the full extent is wolf form, but that the boy in transition there. Ultimately, this is a dark drama with horror elements about a woman loving her like lycanthrope, puberty-stricken son unconditionally and at all costs. But it's worth a watch, man. If you're looking for, it's not up there with Dog Soldiers. And speaking of Ginny Pipe, who loves that movie too.
It's to an
How
extreme.
could you tell? Oh,
It's not up there with Ginger Snaps and Dog Soldiers or The Howling or London, any of our favorites. But it doesn't suck. So that was refreshing. And
That's
it's
high praise for a werewolf movie.
Yeah, Wolfkin.
it doesn't suck is high praise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like 4 stars review. Chad, if one of your kids was a werewolf, what would you do?
I love him through it, man. I love him through it.
See, I'd say bite me, make me a werewolf too, so we can run around and murder together.
I was gonna say you just lock them up for one night a month, but sure, you could do that too.
Oh no,
There's-
let's revel in it.
Yeah, this woman, she's a tough woman, and she sure does love her son. And so it's funny that you said that, because there is something, not the whole, we'll be werewolves together, but how about a bite of me? Oh, how would that do? How would that help? So there's some of that.
Yeah, it's on Shudder. I'll check it out for their 10th anniversary.
Oh,
All righty. Is Michael Clark in the chat?
I have not seen him.
Because I finally watched Beau is Afraid.
oh did you?
Nah, April Fool again.
Oh,
Oh, darn it.
I was gonna say I actually heard his boner.
I'm never watching that friggin' movie.
It's going to be 400 episode, guys. Come on, we can do it.
Every time you say that instead of Dracula 2000, I want your son to become a werewolf and eat you.
A24, Ari Aster.
Oh,
you gotta-
A24. We'll get to A24 in a little while.
Spoilers.
wow.
Freaking Chad Lutsky.
You sure it's not whiskey?
Stop stepping on my segment. I got to tell you about a
Zero.
crappy movie I watched. I watched a 2025 movie called Director's Cut. That there are people out there on TikTok telling me, you can't miss this movie. It's a banger.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say this. It's a movie about a punk band who they're trying to figure out what their next move. Should they do an album or a video or whatever? And this guy called the director contacts them and offers to shoot a free video for them in exchange for royalties on the back end if they're successful. So they jump in their car and they drive 6 hours to this mansion out in the middle of nowhere. And the director is this heavy bald guy in a wheelchair who is played by Louis Lombardi. If you see Louis Lombardi, you're going to recognize him because he's in a lot of stuff. He was in The Sopranos. He's in Suicide Kings. He's like the driver with Dennis Leary, like a small part. But the thing I know him from is he was Edgar on 24.
You were a 24 expert.
The saddest death in the history of 24. Anyway, so the tagline in this movie basically is that this band goes to film this video and they're never heard from again. So this is not a found footage movie, which I was surprised after that description. But it shows you what happens to the band. They meet up with this guy and he ain't right in the head. I was exaggerating a little bit when I was saying it's awful. It's not an awful movie, but the way it was built up by some of the places I saw reviews of it for it that were talking about it. It's an okay movie that's got some brutality that reminded me of some 70s video store kind of movies where you'd be like, oh wow, that's got kind of a bleak thing, but it's done with modern special effects and aesthetics and filming, so it doesn't have that grainy nastiness, and
Too slick.
the writing is not great, and where there's supposed to be humor, it's they needed to add some cayenne pepper to this recipe. It was just
Some
bland.
slap your mama.
You need some
That's
slap
what they
your
needed.
mama, kick this up a notch. So I paid $6 something to watch this. I keep an eye out for when it is for less, or you can watch it on Shudder or something like that. I think the filmmaker has got a lot of promise, and I'd like to see what they're going to do next. And there is some cool stuff in this movie, but I was finding myself come on, let's get going. And when they would hit a good part, I'm like, this is a 7, and it could have been a 10 with just a little bit of tweaking. And even Louis Lombardi, he could have been a great villain, and I feel like they had him just toned down a little bit, that a little bit more. So it's okay for me, but it's not awful. Again, I'd like to see what this filmmaker does next.
Well, I mean,
What
you said it
happens-
was a 7, right? Out of a 10.
No, I'm saying parts of the movie that were
Parts.
good. Like
Okay.
if the part, like, oh, this part's really good. If it was a 7 with a little tweaking, it could have been a 10.
Gotcha. Okay.
The movie, I probably get. I don't know. Like,
By the way,
Crazy
Michael
good
Clark
rating
is here
on
now.
IMDb. It makes me wonder how many people actually, rated it.
this is one of those ones I saw, like one of those TikTok people, or maybe a couple of them, who were like, "You got to do, new movies you got to check out." And I'm like, "All right, you're just picking any new movie and telling me I need to see it."
Yeah, they're either creating content or it's well, if I promote this, will you promote my?
Yeah.
Like, can't trust
That's
them.
what you get for watching TikTok, dude.
Well, they put it on my Instagram. I'm like, all I want to do is, post
Well,
my tasting club. I don't really.
now China has all your info, Jack. Way to go.
I'm not on TikTok. I'm on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
All right. So what do you got?
All right. So I was looking for a Bigfoot book, but I was like, I don't want a crap Bigfoot book because there's just a lot out there. So I said, let me look for something that's got like a lot of ratings and stuff. So I found this book, Claw, by Katie Berry, that had like a few thousand reviews and pretty good rating on Amazon. Not knowing it's not a Bigfoot book. So burn me there. Maybe I should have read a little more of the synopsis. And it's part of a pretty big series that I also was not aware of. The book itself is 550 pages long.
Whoa.
So this is a big one. But I got sucked in pretty fast. It's set in this remote Canadian town that their biggest draw is they have a casino. But it's also there's one road in and out of the place. So it begins with an earthquake happens, and then some people start to die, but die in really savage ways, like just getting torn to pieces or completely disappearing. And then you're following a couple of like game wardens and it's a small town, so you wear many hats. So they're trying to find out what is in the town, what kind of animal is out there. Like at one point, the guy who owns the casino runs over. He keeps saying it's a raccoon. And when they take the pieces off the road, it's like the size of a giant black bear. But they keep calling it a raccoon. I'm like, what? Is everyone in this fucking story an idiot? But there's a reason. So, but then there's another plot of the mayor is crooked, the chief of police is crooked, and the guy who owns the casino is crooked, and they're all together because there was a vein of gold found in a cave. And so they're trying to like get the gold and stop people from going up to the mountain. I will tell you, it involves very large actual animals. So it's kind of like the Ice Age. Things that lived in the Ice Age are back and they're flowing out of the mountain. So it's a fun creature feature. Kind of reminded me of Day of the Animals, but very cold. It's a little long. 550 pages for a creature feature is like giving me an Ari Aster creature feature movie.
It's a lot.
It's a bit. But it goes between like really cool banter and sometimes like really cringy banter between some of these people. I'm like, oh God, edit that out. But all in all, I did have a fun time reading this. There are other books and there's other like novelettes and stuff that continue the story. And so I'm going to check one of the novelettes out. And
hold on.
oh, Josh Barrio. Hey, $5. Good man. Speaking of Shudder, if you do the combo deal with AMC Plus, if so, watch new season 3 of Gangs of London.
I've never even heard of that show.
Me either.
No, neither have I.
Gangs of London.
Joshua
I have to watch
Barrio,
season
Shudder
1 first.
representative.
Should we just start at 3 and just forget 1 and 2?
Thanks, Joshua.
He has all these recommendations I've never heard of. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah, Joshua. I like that though.
Another
Like
fiver.
Joshua, give us something
Josh.
new.
Another Finsky. Gareth Evans, director of the Raid movies and Apostle. He is the creative producer of the show. Not horror, but great gun shootouts and fight choreography.
This is one that, not to mention Janine Pipe again, but now that she's all action hero, She mentions the Gangs of London sometimes.
Oh, this
Pipe
episode
Night.
is brought to you by Pipe. So
Pipe
what's
screams.
Apostle?
Didn't Gareth Evans also direct that segment of VHS 2 where they go to the cult and the demon comes out of the
Oh,
pregnant
that's
woman?
such a good one.
I think that might have been Gareth Evans as well.
That is so bloody.
That's like the
Yeah.
most memorable one out of all of them.
Yeah. And the raid is amazing. So
Yeah,
nice. All right. Good
I'll
call.
check it out.
Thanks, buddy.
Once I'm done with
But all the
Severance.
way, Michael Clark showed up. So you missed you missed that
Jesus.
J-Max.
Sorry, he's interrupting, but it's J
Dude,
Max.
takes precedence. J Max, another 5. Thanks for everything you guys do. Also, have any of you seen Cold Skin? And if not, check it out. I've heard
I think
of-
Jason saw that.
I haven't
Did
seen it.
I don't remember it. What is that?
Cold Skin.
Cold Skin is about my feet.
Oh my god, mine too. Feet and hands. I'm like a dead person.
Yes.
Is it anything like cold gin that keeps us together?
You down in the dumps, you need something to bring you up. So
Oh,
one thing's gonna
yes.
do it the way you want it.
I did see this with Ray Stevenson. I forgot about this. Wow, that was a long time ago.
2017 it came out.
Yeah, I must have watched this right around the time we started the show. Holy shit. Good call. Thanks, J-Max.
Back to the spreadsheet to see if
Yeah,
you
man. Thanks,
reviewed it.
buddy.
If we even had a spreadsheet that far back. Holy shit.
We
Yeah,
had
I don't know.
abacus back then.
Everything was written on papyrus.
I was going to ask you, Hunter, if you think that maybe Katy Perry's book is that. Do you think the book that you just read of hers is that her creature?
No.
No.
No. It has
Let's
a
hope
creature.
not.
It's not
Too
her
long.
creature.
Baby,
long to be
you're a
creature.
firework.
It didn't make me cry. And it's Katy Berry, not Katy Perry.
Halle Berry wrote that book. Oh,
I'd read something by Halle Berry.
swordfish. Anyway, Michael Clark, you missed the part where I said that I watched Beau is Afraid and hated it. I mean, my God, what the hell were you thinking, dude? That was the worst movie I've ever seen. And then I presented, and you're not even here. I mean, I feel like I did all this work for you.
You have to rewatch, Michael.
You fool.
On that
Michael.
note,
Hold on,
I wa-
Michael. Just kidding. It's April Fool's Day.
All right.
Okay,
am I good?
you're good.
maybe.
Okay.
See what it's like when people give $5 and I got to stop the news. Now you know.
Definitely the same thing. Hellboy the Crooked Man, which is the second reboot of Hellboy in the last 3 or 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
This is one that is a much lower budget. I looked it up. I want to say it was like $20 million, which for a Hellboy movie is low. Very low.
That looks
Not
like
good.
Hellboy on Ozempic.
Apparently, this was written by Mike Mignola, who created the character, and Christopher Golden, which surprised me. He's a pretty big author.
Yeah.
And the director. This is... I never read the Hellboy comic books. I don't know anything about them, but I had seen that they were trying to make this more of like a folk horror kind of thing, because it takes place in the mountains of Appalachia. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of interested. And in the first half, it wasn't great, but it was kind of interesting. It was, you could tell it's low budget because it's Hellboy walking through the woods, which is usually not a sign of a big budget when a movie or a sequel goes that route.
Not good.
But it's the second half when it just becomes like, it's kind of actiony, but also horror, and it just really doesn't work for me. It's cutting back and forth between all these people, including Hellboy, experiencing different things, and I really lost interest. And it's doing the focal length thing, like the really narrow focus, like Army of the Dead that we watched on Netflix with who did that?
Oh
Zack
my
Snyder.
god. Yeah.
Zack
Zack
Snyder, yeah.
Snyder.
Do you remember how razor thin the focus was in that movie? That was this for a lot of it. And I was not a huge fan of that. Having said that, the practical effects, which there are a lot of, are great. All of Hellboy's stuff, all of the villain stuff. There's some great gore effects. There's like a skin suit. It's like an empty body with just skin on a bed, and all that stuff is great. But when the CG is in it, the CG is bad.
That's where they cut the corner.
Bad. There's a scene with the spider at the beginning that is just almost sci-fi levels of bad CG.
Oof.
Yeah. The performances were very flat to the point where it must have been a direction thing where I guess if you live in Appalachia, you don't have a personality. I don't know. Including Hellboy. Like Hellboy's sarcastic, at least in the movie, other movies. In this, he was still a little sarcastic, but he was very flat. Like he's on some antidepressants, and it's just like leveled him out.
Oh, that's boring.
It's the Ozempic.
I was not a big fan of this. There is cool stuff in it. I could see maybe if you're a fan of Hellboy and it is more of a full hero kind of thing, maybe you'll dig that. I've only ever seen the movies, and I love the first two Hellboys. I think those are great.
They are.
And this is not up to that. I do think I liked it better than the last Hellboy, which I barely remember because I disliked it so much. I don't know. I don't know if they're James Bonding this, where just every Hellboy is a different actor. And, yeah, I don't know what the deal is.
The next Hellboy is going to be a black woman.
I
In a
heard
wheelchair.
that. I heard Perlman, the guy from Quest for Fire. I heard he was up for. He wanted to do the other ones, but
That's the movie you use as a Ron Perlman reference.
You got to be like 60 to know that reference. By the way, that was my birthday movie when it came out. Like I always got to pick a movie, and that's what I chose.
it's one of the very first rated R movies I ever saw.
That's fun. That came out in like 80, probably.
No, I think it was 82. It was on HBO a lot.
It was a long time ago, man.
But
Good
yeah,
movie,
he was
though.
up for it, but they wouldn't. And then they had the Stranger Things guy. Did they ever make that movie with him?
They did
Or
one
they
with Stranger with them.
Okay,
Oh, David Harbour.
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know why Perlman didn't get it.
Maybe because he's old as shit.
I mean, he's in his
Pretty hard.
70s, probably.
Well, Perlman was in what should have been a trilogy, and then that got tossed to the side and rebooted. And
Those movies are freaking great.
yeah,
they should
that's
go
the
and
problem.
make the third Hellboy.
Yeah.
Hellboy 2 is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I love that movie.
I think they're going along the plan right now of every new movie, they cut the budget in half to try to keep making their money back. And it's just probably not going to go well.
The next one will be Shadow Puppets.
It's usually not a good sign when your main character is just walking through the woods in a sequel. So,
Nope.
Hellboy, the Crooked Man.
Mm-mm.
All right. Chad?
Alrighty. Shudder again. This time it gets even better. I watched a movie called I Am Not a Serial Killer from 2016.
I've seen
Stupid title. This is a dark coming of age. Dark coming of age is one of my favorite subgenres of all time, like Super Dark Times and River's Edge, Bones and All, Bully, Transfiguration. I Am Not a Serial Killer is one of those. It's also one of those movies that took me about 2 minutes before I was like all in, and I suddenly got that rare feeling that I think I've just stumbled onto something special that I'm going to be recommending for years. It stars Christopher Lloyd and some teenage kid who looks like one of the Culkin brothers. Big time. This kid helps his mom out embalming bodies at their family-owned funeral home. And he not only has a great interest in serial killers, but shows early signs of possibly being one himself. Stuff like thoughts of harming people and animals, and particularly local bullies. But he's seeing a psychologist and is self-aware and takes precaution not to feed these thoughts. He's kind of a sweet kid, really. In the meantime, there's some local murders happening in his town, and the kid becomes kind of obsessed with the idea that it might be a serial killer. So he's trying to profile the killer using his serial killer knowledge and catch the guy himself. The characters are great. strong single mother, like a legitimately strong woman, not a shove it down your throat feminist caricature of a strong woman, but just a strong woman who is doing the best she can to raise a troubled kid on her own. Christopher Lloyd has never been better. The kid playing the main role, it's like
Hold on a minute.
Better than Jim Ignatowski.
Christopher Lloyd's never been better. Have you ever seen Taxi? Come on, let's just take a breath here.
That character is amazing.
Little movie called Back to the Future.
Well, yeah, but I know I know that's like your favorite, and that's yeah, he was good, but it's a comedy, and it's
Angels in
it
the
doesn't
Outfield.
hold the nostalgia that for me that it does for you, but this is a straight role.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's not my hero, but the kid, he has one of those roles that feels like it was specifically meant for him. I wanted a straightforward dark thriller with realism, and that's what I got until it takes a turn toward like the otherworldly. But because it kept that same tone throughout and it didn't go Hollywood, the turn didn't bother me and I was still all in. And then the very end happened. And let's just say that it went from a 5-star to a 4. But it absolutely is worth everyone's time. I loved this movie so much. And I have a feeling that some of you guys might like what Jack said he saw it, but I think some of you might like the ending more than me. But whoever hasn't seen it, please go check it out on Shudder. I don't know how long. I think they just put it up there, but we need more stuff like this.
Toten brings up a good point about Christopher Lloyd. Star Trek 3, he was the Klingon. Give me Genesis!
I didn't see that. But
That's
yeah, right up my alley, man, this movie. What did you think of it, Jack? Did you like it? Do you remember liking it?
It was so long ago that when you said it, I was like, isn't Christopher Lloyd in that? Wasn't that like his best thing he ever did?
J Max brought up a good point. Dennis the Menace is his best film. Hands down.
Roger Rabbit maybe is his best film.
Suburban Commando.
Adam's Family.
But I am not a
he
serial
was in
killer.
some sweet movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a legend.
I mean, Shatner's got him on the cliff. I have had enough. You.
I can't take it. Oh, my Lord.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
This movie's going to be difficult to talk about because... All right, let me explain it. It's on Tubi. It's called Beautiful Friend from 2023. And it is about a kid who like hates women and kidnaps a woman and forces her to be his girlfriend. And this is all during like COVID. I learned a word from this incel. Do you know what an incel is?
Oh,
Yeah.
God, that word was
We're all
thrown around a lot
incels.
years ago.
Yeah, so I kept hearing like, oh, it's about an incel who's it does this and that and next. I was like, I've heard that word before. So look, you can look up incel yourself, folks.
That's someone who has sex with their brother.
This movie, it's free on Tubi. It's very dark, and it's got some really kind of graphic assault scenes in it. And the girl that he captures goes through hell, and he's always filming her, so it's really hard for her to, try and do anything to escape. So she kind of tries to play along and do whatever she can to try. So it's really torturous on the girl. So there's something here to watch. Like the mood of this, like it's not in the same ballpark as Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, but I still had that kind of like, oh, this is like a dark thing, but it's not as graphic and whatever is that.
How about Poughkeepsie Tapes comparison?
Poughkeepsie Tapes is 1,000 times more entertaining than this, because this is what I'm talking about. This guy, he kind of like narrates the whole thing in this sort of, it sounds like an inner monologue, and he's got sort of this like monotone kind of voice that he's talking the whole time. And it was kind of like a lullaby. I was like, geez, all right, come on. Like that, that like the pacing or something that like it was like it's a very interesting movie, but it's dark, so it leaves a bad taste in your mouth at the end of it. And it's kind of like, I don't know, there's pacing issues with it, but it's a very interesting movie sitting there on Tubi, and it's like 80 minutes. So I think it's worth a watch to see this thing that I didn't expect something that had some of those scenes that it had in it. I was like, oh wow, they're going for it here.
Maybe I'll wait till
Pacing
somebody...
issues on an 80-minute movie.
Yeah.
That's bad.
But again, I watched this at like 10 o'clock at night. So maybe I should have been more awake when I watched it. So I'm calling this movie interesting and worth a watch, and see what you think of it. Because if not, you're going to be like, wow, I did not expect that on Tubi.
All right.
Beautiful friend, 80 minutes.
Can somebody make a 10-minute version so I could watch it on YouTube? Then I'm in.
Nice.
Okay, anything else?
Toten says Christopher Lloyd has 258 acting credits.
But only one was a Klingon.
The hell is a gigawatt?
Remember when he bought all those TVs on Taxi?
Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, then. Let's get to the main feature.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Okay. This week, we went to the theater. We saw Death of a Unicorn. Who would like to give us a quick recap of what that movie was about?
I can.
Go for it, baby.
Right.
By the way, talk about an on-the-nose title.
It was so on the nose. I didn't know that's what this movie was about.
I saw a trailer for it, but I don't think I really paid attention to the trailer, so I didn't know what I was really coming in for. I mean, I thought it was maybe death of a person like me. But no, this is Paul Rudd is with his daughter, Jenna Ortega. And when I saw it, I said, thank God they didn't make her his second wife or his wife.
Oh, geez.
Hollywood would do that. But anyway, he's a lawyer who works for this pharmaceutical mogul, and he is going to visit his estate up in the mountains to do his kind of trust and figure out what his company's going to do when he passes on. And on the way there, they hit an animal. This is not a spoiler. They hit a unicorn and try to put it out of its misery. Somehow lug this giant thing into their car and fit it into the car, and then go up and, business as usual. And then the wacko supporting cast enters the movie, and shenanigans just ensue for the next hour and a half. And
shenanigans, that's a good word.
and the family that he's going to visit, his clients, are pharmaceutical CEO and his family.
Yeah, very rich
people,
waspy schmucks.
All right, who would like to go first? Chad, you didn't see this, right?
No, I was not blessed, but I'm very curious to hear, because I have heard nothing except for Splatterpunk OG John Skip called it mediocre and that not worthy of the A24 title. So I'm curious.
Ooh.
All right, I'll go first.
Go for it.
I like this movie. I had no concept of what it was. I thought the name was what was that? The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I thought it was going to be like that.
Me too.
Right.
And then when they hit the unicorn, I was like, oh shit, okay. And that kind of set the stage for me of what the tone of this movie was going to be. Now, just like the movie I really didn't like 2 weeks ago or whatever, what the hell is that even called? Borderline. I feel like if you don't like the humor of this movie, you are probably going to hate this shit. Whereas I thought the son of the rich son who was out of his gourd the whole movie, he was so goddamn funny to me in this movie that I could have watched hours of that dude doing just the craziest shit he could do with unicorns.
Do you know who that kid is?
Will Poulter.
He's the kid from We're the Millers. When the spider bit his balls.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
saw
one
that
of the
once. I don't
funniest
remember it.
scenes. And he's like, he used to be this little dorky guy. Now he's
He's
like this
in
big
Midsummer,
dude.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in the
Guardians of the
Bear.
Galaxy, I think.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he's Adam.
Yeah. That dude is so freaking funny to me in this movie. The CG in this is horrific at times. Like, horrifically bad at times. Because it's a comedy, I feel like it didn't detract as much. If this was straight horror, I would have like really been like, this is bad. But because of how dumb the idea is and how dumb the characters are, it blended more than if it was trying to just scare the shit out of you. So I surprisingly enjoyed this. When I figured out it was a comedy, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Every character in this is a complete shitbag or annoying. Oh, well, no, I shouldn't say annoying. Shitbag. I think they're fun. Taya Leone, who I haven't seen in something in a long time, I thought was great.
Oh my god,
She was so funny and just she was such a douche in this. And I thought all of the family, they did a good job of, like at the beginning, I thought, oh, they're just kind of like silly rich people, but they're not ill-intentioned. The way they were talking about family and we need to make sure that you're going to take care of our tradition and we want to make sure you have a good relationship with your kid. And then like 20 minutes later, that shit is out the window and they're complete psychopaths. So all that stuff worked for me. I enjoyed it. It didn't feel like an A24 movie at all, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
All right.
This just blew my mind. I thought you were gonna hate this movie. So when I went to the theater, it was just I went to the 11:15 showing on Sunday in the morning.
Nice.
I look and I hear a noise, and there's a guy like a few rows behind me. When I look back, he just gives me like the eyebrows go up, like, this weird. I'm gonna touch you when the lights go out. Thankfully, more people came in just before it started.
Wow.
This does not feel at all one iota like an A24 movie, other than the fact that they got premier talent to do a horror movie about unicorns exacting revenge for hitting a baby unicorn. I mean, the cast I think was fabulous. My favorite person was the bald manservant.
Oh, the guy from Barry.
The guy from Barry. I loved him in Barry. I just call him Mr. Alopecia, like he has not a hair on his face. I thought he was phenomenal. Every time he was on screen, even sometimes when he was in the background, I'm just watching his expressions of what he's doing. I'm just laying out laughing. I thought they hit the humor on this perfectly. I agree. The CGI sometimes was like, holy cow, this looks like a My Pretty Pony movie. Life. But I didn't care. I was enjoying the comedy of it, and sometimes the horror of it. The kills, some of the kills are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I really, really like this movie. And here, I will tell you something else. I got choked up in the end, but only because I'm going through physical and emotional and mental changes in my life where 2 days before that, I cried watching Parks and Rec when Leslie Knope got married. Even though I've seen that episode 6 times, I cried alone in my living room. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm very concerned about me. I'm getting very soft. I don't know. This is, you know what? You have one near-death experience and then everything else is different from that day on. It's like a whole other book in life you're working through. So this entertained the living shit out of me. And I just enjoyed a fun time at the movies, and this will probably make my list at the end of the year. I enjoyed it that much.
Wow.
I've had some health issues myself, so you're not the only one that's looked death in the face, and I have the opposite effect. I don't have time for shit like this.
You're getting crustier and crustier.
I was thoroughly underwhelmed by this movie.
Wow.
This movie, I saw the trailer, and my hopes were like, oh, A24, Paul Rudd, I'm fired up. I am ready for this. I got in there and I got a horror movie comedy that I didn't think was all that funny. And the horror parts were not scary. And I just felt, Chad, you said it. It's mediocre. It has some good parts. Will Poulter's great, Soho Harry or whatever his name is from Barry. He's great.
Oh.
It was good to see Taylor Leone, but I felt like they had this all-star team, and then the writers just gave them nothing to work with. I thought the plot was nothing new. And
Wait, the plot where killer unicorns massacre a
By the way, I'm
rich family is
thinking-
not new.
We are always like shitting on things never being original. Like you can't make this any more original than what I'm watching right now.
the whole thing with Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd's relationship that's brand new. Never
if
seen
I
that.
see another sullen teenager, that I'm not a fan.
And the rich family, I just felt like they were just playing the different stereotypes, and I really like Will Poulter was funny, but I thought he was elevating the material. So Jason, you're exactly right. The humor wasn't working for me. So
yeah,
I watched it and I was like, all right.
It's completely people liking this movie is going to completely rely on the humor.
yeah.
I was laughing the whole time. I thought it was funny as hell. So
It's 90% comedy.
Yeah, calling this a
Very
horror
little
film,
horror.
it's really only because there's gore. This is a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom like vibe towards the end of it.
I don't even remember that one.
That's the one where they're in a big mansion and the
Oh, I didn't see
dinosaurs are
that one.
chasing them around.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
I did think of Exists. I'm like, the closest thing I could think of is Exists.
Like all right, so
Bigger
we can get it.
budget.
We can get to it as well. There was stuff I liked about it. So I'm saying mediocre. I didn't hate this movie,
Yeah.
but I went in like, this is going to be one of the good ones, and I walked out going, I don't know if I would recommend this to people until it comes on like HBO or something.
I actually thought Jenna Ortega was far and away the least interesting character in
Yeah.
this movie, and I thought Paul Rudd was the second least interesting.
Yes.
He had like nothing to work with comedically. He
Yeah.
was like playing a straight man. It was
He was
very
a straight man.
Wasted him.
it was very unlike a Paul Rudd character.
Jenna Ortega was basically the same character from Beetlejuice in this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she's called somebody a fascist, was talking about the oligarchy. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. I thought I walked into Snow White. But yeah, I look, as a person who raised two girls and went through these sullen teenage years, I despise depictions of those type of characters in movies. I'm like, oh my god, I would never want those years back again. So she was leaned right into it. But you're right, Paul Rudd, he had his moments, but for most of it, he was just a dumb lackey.
It's just bland.
Yeah.
Well, they made everybody unlikable in the movie.
Pretty
almost.
much. Except, yeah, the servant guy. That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Anything else for spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers. Spoiler alert.
I'm out of here. Good to see you guys as always.
All right.
All right, man.
See you later, buddy.
Have
Talk
a good
soon.
one.
Good night, guys.
99.
99.
So, what was
Rabbit.
really killing me was the son doing just railing lines of unicorn horn.
Yes.
That was killing me. I thought that was so funny.
And by the way, like he would do it and then like, his body would freak out, like go rigid, his eyes would glow, but nothing other than that temporary high. I thought there'd be a connection with him and the unicorns or something because he's got so much unicorn
Nope.
dust in his system. No, he's just an
And when
asshole.
Taylor Leone's death is great. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that he turns on her, that was great.
Yeah. Oh, I felt bad seeing her die, even though she was the biggest asshole of them all.
Richard
He's-
E. Grant, great to see him. He's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, what a cast.
So, a recurring joke we have on So Bad It's Good is from one of our first episodes where two Playboy models are they're like super agents in this movie, Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And at one point they're just like, let's hit the hot tub. I do my best thinking there. And then it cuts to them and they're topless, like with each other. So we always say about like, you do your best thinking in a hot tub. He literally said that line in this movie. The son did. And I was like, is that a nod to freaking Hard Ticket to Hawaii? It was that's such an obscure line. That got me too.
Him calling for the guy, Griff, we need a bathing suit.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that family was so funny. The way they tried to shift from like we're these wholesome people to like they're just total shitbags. I don't know, that killed me. They're eating unicorn meat. Like it's just ridiculous.
It was so gross too.
Ugh.
I was getting my stomach was turning. But that hot tub scene, when he's in the hot tub and you hear like those braying sounds in the distance, that reminded me of walking on the moors with American Werewolf in London. I thought that was and I loved how he was like, I was getting it anyway. Hustling
I thought he was so funny, man. But yeah, Paul Rudd, he's not likable at all. Not until the very end does he have any kind of change. I wanted to ask you guys, he's being chased by the unicorn and because he has the horn of the baby.
Yeah.
And it's chasing him to kill him, but the next time we see him, he's like calmly leading it.
Yeah, like the horn's a carrot.
Yeah, like what happened there? I feel like we missed a scene.
I don't know.
I think maybe because they had a connection with his daughter. And I think maybe once the horse got up to him, it felt that connection. It was like, all right,
Maybe.
I'm going to leave you alone. But they don't explain it. There was a weird...
Would have been a good thing to see that.
Not to mention, he would have been run down in 10 feet.
Yeah, the thing plowed through everybody else with no problem.
Yeah.
But they were, and those were awful CG unicorns.
Awful.
That was surprising to me.
And they show them like in broad daylight and like a ton.
Yeah.
At the end, when they all heal up and the three of them run off away from the mansion is so bad. The look of them running. I could not believe.
Like it becomes a children's movie in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, especially them walking away. I'm like, this looks like a PBS kids cheap ass cartoon. But then I liked how when they were reborn, they were all nice and white unicorns, and they weren't mean looking anymore. They weren't scary. But I got all choked up when the unicorns start chasing the cop car. I'm like, like I tell you, I'm lost. I don't know what's going on.
That's where like this movie was losing me. I'm just like, okay, this whole. I mean, I knew Paul Rudd was going to get resurrected. Second he came out of the woods, or when he got stabbed. I'm like, okay, he's getting resurrected, and then from that moment, and then it ends. I'm like, okay, whatever. But then once they're in the car and the unicorns are running along the side of the road, I'm like, oh my god, they are not sticking the landing here. So I'm glad you got
possibility those unicorns killed them. There's no guarantee when you smash a car off the side of the road that they're gonna live.
Yeah, you put your seatbelt on. Okay.
And I guess at that point, neither of them cared if they lived or died because they know that there was something better on the other side. So you could read this as they killed them and let them go.
It's like the theory about what Martyrs is really about. So,
oh my God, Martyrs! Martyrs almost caused a divorce in my house because when it was done, I was like, you know what? The ends, I think, do justify the means. And my wife thought I was a total piece of shit.
I wanted to say, what was that actor's name again? Will Prowse?
Poulter.
That guy's dialogue was killing me because there was a bunch of shit that seems like throwaway lines. It's a punchline later. Like when he was telling her to put together like a vision board, you can use my printer. I was really into art or something at some point, but then I got into archery and it took over my life. And then later he's holding the bow in like the shittiest way. He's like, I barely ever used this thing. It's like everything that guy said was such complete bullshit. The whole movie was just killing me.
No, the only thing he did well was drink and snort unicorn dust.
Yeah, everything he said was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Dad, I want to show you my mixology. Like after they discovered a unicorn, it's just so insane.
It's an excuse to drink, everybody. By the way, Jack, did you like seeing that girl from Glow as one of the doctors?
I never watched Glow.
Is that what she's from? Oh,
yeah, she's one of the wrestlers.
Place her. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Right. I did like when Paul Rudd was trying to put the unicorn out of its misery with the tire iron.
When she's in the middle of having this cosmic experience.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And I like them trying to play off when the unicorn came back to life in the car. And you can hear the ruckus going on. Oh, I don't know what's going on out there.
I know you
Yeah.
guys don't watch Marvel stuff much, but the Loki TV show that was on Disney Plus was great, and it had kind of multiverse stuff in it, and there was other versions of Loki, and Richard E. Grant plays a comics accurate Loki in the comic book green costume with the big horns,
Oh, no way.
and he is spectacular in it.
Wow. He was really good in this, though.
Yeah.
Watch him go from dying to going out hunting. The Great White Hunter, who's, again, another fucking fraud.
Oh man, but yeah, I can totally see if you did not find this movie funny. This is not for you. It's a comedy. It really
Like I
is.
said, I didn't hate it, but I went in like going, "Oh, this is gonna be great," and I walked out going, "All right." Like if it comes on cable, I'm not gonna watch it again. But if it's on, I would leave it on for certain parts.
Yeah.
And flick. If I was at somebody's house and they hadn't seen it, I'd be like, "Oh, we could watch this. This will be fine." Like I'm not like a hater, but
Well, when it was done, there was a guy who looked like the comic book man from The Simpsons. So you got stadium seating. He chooses his seat to be in the first row, down on the floor. So he's like leaned back watching the movie. And when it's done, he's like going,
oh my god.
he's alone. There's no one down in his section. And he's giving like the slow golf clap. I was like, all right, right on, brother. I'm glad you liked it.
Wow. I was by myself in the theater, not a soul.
Wow. I counted 10 just before
I
the
went
lights
on.
went on.
I went on Friday, so there's probably 20 people there.
I think it only made like 5 or 6 million. And it
Wonder how much
cost-
they spent.
I
Didn't go
think
to CG.
20. I think 20 million. I
That
saw.
cast could not have been cheap.
Yeah, that's true. Or that location.
Oh, that location's gorgeous.
Yeah, that was nuts.
I want to go there.
I know A24 is really they're kind of like moving away from the elevated horror thing, and I mean they did Everything All at Once or whatever that movie.
Diversifying.
Yeah.
Their last movie that came out was about a cult with John Malkovich. I think that movie flopped. That was just like a couple of months ago.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Wow.
Yeah, me either.
It came out recently. John Malkovich is like a cult leader. It was hyped up and then it flopped. So,
You know what happens is there's pressure because they're getting so much good press. And like, all right, we got to put more stuff out, but there's maybe not that much good stuff to make.
well, they probably got investors, that came in like, ooh, Hereditary. This place, what a buzz. They get Everything All at Once, Oscar stuff, and now suddenly there's more money, but now they have a bottom line that they got to hit. And
I don't know. I think this is a fine addition because I enjoyed it like I enjoy most A24 stuff, but it just didn't feel like an A24 movie.
No, it really didn't.
Yeah.
So, all right.
But it made me laugh.
Same.
You think Chad will like it?
No. He might surprise us. I don't know. Every time we think we got him figured out, he gives us the shiv right in the back. What's for next week? Do we know?
We don't know. We'll have to take a look. In a couple of weeks, that vampire movie's coming out with Sinners.
I don't think I know that one.
No, I don't know
What's his name? The kid from Creed, Michael B. Jordan, and Haley Steinfeld.
No
Looks
idea.
Awesome. In the theaters, I think like in 2 weeks.
Cool.
I'm in.
Until then,
Next
we'll just
week?
find whatever Drek is streaming.
Figure it out.
We're not watching the French werewolf drama.
No, I think I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, no. No, thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, we'll figure out what we're going to watch, and we'll let you know on Twitter. And until next time, thanks for joining us, and have a good night.
Keep
Bye.
being horny, you unicorns.